What's going on, guys? My name is Justin Melson with Happyfox Productions, and today I want to talk to you guys a bit about video production and how to make money doing it. And so in this video, I'm basically going to do a overlook on everything from what to charge, how much should you charge, why should you charge that much, how to get clients. But just so you guys know, take everything I say with a grain of salt, because I'm only 22 years old. I just turned 22. I'm only 22 years old, and I've only been doing this for so long. I mean, I've been doing video production for like 10 years, but I've only been making money from it for so long. And as you'd expect, I'm young. I have different kinds of responsibilities than someone who is 40 or 50. But and I do want to say also, before I start this video, quick plug, check out churchfilms.com. Basically, his whole system is like how to make money doing video production. So definitely check his out too. He's a really good educator, and he could definitely help you out as well. So anyways, let's go ahead and jump into what we're going to be talking about. First off, I'm just going to jump into the things that you guys would want to hear. I'm going to kind of skip all the other things. So first off, how much do you charge? Why should you charge that much? How do you come up with that number? Where do you get the clients? All that. So how do you do it? So at least for me, I started when I was really young, when I was like in the 6th grade. I wasn't making money or anything, but that's when I started doing video production. And most of the jobs that I get now are mainly broadcast, corporate. I get a lot of everything, but the way I get those jobs has strictly been through connections. So first answer to the question is like, how do I get the jobs? Well, first off, I don't market myself in the sense of like paid marketing and advertising. I don't do that. I market myself in the sense of social media and being a nice and hardworking person. That is the best way to market yourself. So if you want to give the biggest like, hey, I'm a hard worker and hire me again, is to do a good job on your jobs. Good job on your jobs. I guess that's a good way to put it. So for example, if you are doing sound, you're a sound person for someone, just do a good job. I had a discussion with a friend the other day, and it's like, hey, you want to be a sound person and you want to get hired back for sound, get the best sound you can on set, because then when your sound editor is editing the sound, they're going to be like, okay, whoever recorded this did a good job. And they're going to tell the director, hey, we don't need to do ADR because your sound person did a good job. They'll relay that back to the producer, to whoever, UPM. They'll be like, hire that sound guy again. He did a good job. And the same thing goes with corporate work or anything. For example, one of my biggest connections and one of my biggest clients that I have today flies me across the country, and I do a lot of corporate. Like I've produced shows for Fox Sports and NBC and like a whole bunch of stuff. And the way I got that connection is because I had to intern for 4 long, hard years someplace for free in order to get that connection. So I interned for 4 years for free just to get the connection to do those jobs. That's the reality of it, at least for me, in my experience. And that goes into a lot of other things. Because of doing like internships and working for free, I made other connections that then eventually lead to paid connections. Another thing is doing your own work. A lot of times people think doing your own projects doesn't get you anywhere, but you'd be surprised on how doing your own projects can get you recognized to get paid jobs. For example, my YouTube channel has gotten me a lot of paid jobs. YouTube doesn't pay me really much of anything. Like, I won't tell you how much I make a month on YouTube, but this channel doesn't make that much a month on YouTube. Most channels don't make that much a month on YouTube. Channels with 200,000 subscribers don't make that much a month on YouTube. Strictly speaking, from ad revenue and Google AdSense. Google AdSense like demolishes your wallet and gives you like breadcrumbs. So YouTube doesn't pay that much, but from sponsorships and connections off YouTube, you can get paid. So with that said, people have seen my personal projects and things like that, and they're like, okay, this guy knows how to color, or this guy knows how to edit or do sound or film or whatever. We want to hire this guy because he can do that look on his projects. We want that look done on our projects. So for me, that's one thing. Keep doing your personal projects. Keep doing your thing, because people will see it eventually. And I know it's discouraging when you only get like 13 views a video and it's like, no one's seeing it. It's like, well, we all started that way. Like I started my channel 6 years ago, 2010. And I was getting 10, 20, 30 views a video, and I just kept at it. And I still don't get that many views a video. I'm only at 20,000 subscribers, but like you just keep at it and things eventually come and opportunities eventually come. And that's the same mindset that you have to have with freelance video. Just keep at it. It takes a while and it's stressful and it's very risky, But when it happens, it's really good. So, for example, in my situation, I just quit my part-time job like 6 months ago. Before then, I was doing freelance and working part-time. Eventually, my freelance business got so busy, I had to quit my part-time job. And, you know, you got to be smart about that. Like, I had a lump sum of money saved up. Like, I was like, okay, I have 3 months of rent saved up. So if something happens, like, I at least have 3 months of rent saved up before I gotta, like, go find another job. But I was hoping, like, okay, if I'm getting so many jobs to the point where I can't even, like, keep up with my 20-hour a week, 30-hour a week part-time job, then good things are happening. You know, I'm getting so many freelance gigs and all that. So what ends up happening is I quit my job, and I happened to quit around holiday time. So I didn't really get any gigs in December, January, and February. And it's very intimidating and depressing when you look at your bank account and you see money leaving, but there's no money coming in. And I'm just sitting there like, damn, like this sucks. There's no money coming in. I wasn't getting any gigs. I got like 2 really small gigs from Craigslist over like 3 months of work. And that's just the reality of it. The thing is with freelance is, here are the good things about it. You're one person. So if you charge X amount of money, you're getting X amount of money. Besides taxes, the IRS is going to take an X amount out. So if you charge someone $1,000, you're going to get $850 of that because taxes. If you charge someone $500, you'll get your $400 or whatever. But that's the good thing about freelance is like you make what you make. Like if you want to bust your ass and like work every single day of the month. And I'm not talking every day. Like, we all kind of work every day. I work every day. I work on holidays, like my birthday and Christmas. But if you want to, like, straight up never stop and, like, your goal is, like, I'm going to make $7,000 this month, then you can do it because it's freelance and you make your own luck, basically. My first wedding, I charged $500 and I only made $150 from that. Why? Because I did it when I was 19 years old and I had a very low perception of money because of the way I grew up. I grew up where we lived off of $1 like a week for food. Like we live off of peanut butter jars for food, and not all the time, but sometimes. And so therefore, $100 was like a lot of money for me. So the fact that I charged someone $500 was like, what? I'm rich. And then I ended up making $200 from that. And because I had to rent lav mics and all this stuff, I made $200. And I was like, that wasn't worth it. I made 50 cents an hour. And then eventually I got a part-time job and I kind of started to understand like how much your time is worth. So now I'm like, okay, now I'm 22 and I'm charging people $50 an hour. That is like my average rate for freelance. So that plays into how much do you charge someone? You have to charge someone your rate, but you also have to be smart and think, I gotta have money for the future too. You gotta put money in your savings. You gotta be safe. So you gotta charge someone enough for your rate and your labor and your equipment. And also like, hey, you're a human being. You gotta charge more because you gotta have backup money. Like, you know, video production isn't a yogurt shop job. You aren't paid $10 or $8 an hour to hold a camera because anyone can do it. You need to know a lot. You need to know. Your average person doesn't know the difference between 8-bit, 10-bit, 12-bit, 420, 422, 444, chromatic aberrations, all these technical things that video people know. Or like, oh, you're shooting like open gate this. Regular people don't know that. Production companies hire you a good rate because you know that stuff. You know how to use it. You know how to use a follow focus, or you know how to use a walkie, or you know how to do this and this. So they're like, okay, we'll pay you your $40 an hour because you're smart and you've proven it and whatever. Just from experience, like I don't have a resume. I've never really had to make one besides for my part-time job that I had. Other than that, I guess for you guys, that's something to know. I've never had to make a resume for any gig I've ever had. Because they just want to see what you can do. They want to see your work. So, I mean, I have videos unlisted on my YouTube channel where no one can see them besides clients. And I send them out. I'm like, here's my aerial reel, here's my editing reel, here's my coloring reel, and here's my directing reel. Or here's just a big mash of footage with some cool rock music or something like that. All right, so really quickly to wrap up this video, there's a couple more things that I want to bring up that I forgot to mention earlier in the video. Is, again, talking a bit more on the logistics. Things like a website. Do you have to have a website to start a video production business or freelance? In all honesty, I do not think you need to have one. I've never had a website, or scratch that. I've had one like really cheesy, cheap Squarespace website for like a year. 4 years ago, it didn't do a dang thing. Having a website doesn't magically give you clients, although if you have clients already and you want to refer them to your website, that's another story. Having websites beneficial in terms of having a subscription base. I know that's not the proper term for it, but I'm drawing a blank right now. If you want people to put in their emails and you can send them things like advertisements, products, deals you have going on, that is great. That is what websites are really good for. If you want to demonstrate your work, whether it's not on YouTube, then that's great. See, for me personally, my personal website is my YouTube channel. I refer people here and be like, just dig in. I have like 80, 90 videos you can watch, see what it's about. For other people, you might not have that. You might want to develop a website, whether you do like a WordPress or a Wix or whatever it is. Just make sure it's a nice, functional, designed website. I don't need to get into all that, but it does make a big difference. When people see a big clustered website, they're going to be like, but sometimes if they see something that's kind of minimalistic and they're like, this is your work, these are your prices, this is this, and this is this, especially for photographers, I mean, me personally, I kind of like that more, but everybody's different. A couple of other things. I mentioned resume. Do you have to have a resume? In my experience, you don't, but it's always good to have one because there's always going to be maybe a corporate job that's like, hey, we need your resume for certain reasons. Like we need to relay this to our so-and-so supervisor, then that's good. Get a resume if you need one. Business cards. Do you have to have business cards? Yes and no. Yes, as in business cards are great because you just hand them out. They're simple, small. I got my first business cards 4 years ago. I never really used them, mainly because I'm an introvert a lot of the times. I have trouble marketing myself in person. That's just how I am. But at the same time, if somebody's really good, like if you're a really good extrovert or you're like, hey man, I could just market myself and get business cards. In fact, everyone should get business cards. Do yourself a favor and don't get really, really fancy with them. That's what I did when I was younger. I got really fancy and did it all dark and like beveled layouts and all this stuff. And I had an old friend tell me like, hey, maybe just keep it simple. Like this is your information and have the back blank, like a white or a gray blank backside so people could write stuff on it. Because that's what people need business cards for. Usually they just take it out of their pocket and they can write information on it. That's what they're really good for. And to be honest, something that I'm doing more is I just give people my social media. Because I've noticed that when I give people my business card, I never really hear from them. I give like 20 people a business card. I don't hear from a single person. But if I follow someone on social media, I've gotten way more jobs that way because people can see what you're doing. Hence what I said earlier in the video, a lot of my marketing is just social media based. People see you working, people want to hire you. People see that you're doing this on a daily basis. People want to hire you because they're like, okay, you could DM them and it's much more informal. And it's kind of like more, hey man, can you make a video for me? As opposed to like, you got to dive into their business card and dive into their website and slide into your contact info and be like, excuse me, or dear so-and-so, sincerely, blah, 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 best regards. But then on a Twitter or Instagram, it's just kind of like, hey, man, can you do a video? It's like, sure, what do you need, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so you need this, you need this, you need this, you need this. Okay, well, do you need a crew? Do you need it solo? One camera, two camera? Okay, $1,200. Or whatever your price may be. But that's just something that I've started doing. Use more of your social media. But with that said, make sure your social media is professional. You can't really be tweeting and like posting really weird stuff because that says that your social media is like your character, so you don't want to be posting weird stuff and all that. And then you have clients or potential clients that are going to see that and be like, I don't know if I want to hire that guy. Usually nowadays people make their social media based around a certain topic, whether you're an adventurer, explorer, traveler, vlogger, blogger, whatever you do. People kind of base their social media around that, and it's kind of good to do that for your video production business. That, hey, I'm shooting this, I'm shooting this, I'm shooting these clients, I'm shooting with this camera, I'm doing this, I'm meeting these people, life is great, and they're like, wow, this is a really wholesome, cool guy, let's hire him. At least that's how it's been in my experience, but everybody's different. Last thing I want to put that, before I forget, equipment. Sometimes people ask, like, what kind of equipment do you need to shoot paid jobs? And to be honest, there isn't a specific threshold of equipment that you have to get paying gigs. You could work with the Red Epic W, or you could work with Red Dragons, you could work with Alexas, and you can work with DSLRs, or you could be working with like the Sony XL something, or the Sony EX1 or EX3. Some of the older school cameras, they all do a certain job, and that is shoot. But here's the thing. Who's shooting? You're shooting. So it all depends on you. A good example is a lot of the shows that I produce for like Fox were shot on a Canon T2i, believe it or not. Because since it's broadcast, they're not looking for like the best DB air quality and all that. They're kind of like, does it shoot good, shallow depth of field, all that, good audio. But you do have to put that into consideration in terms of budgeting. Like if you get a DSLR, you definitely got to rig it up. If you're going to have phantom power, XLR, you got to rig that into your DSLR. Get this, get that, get a whole bunch of lenses. If you're going to get an E&G style camera, those are typically more expensive, but they come with 3-pin XLR, phantom power, built-in indies, all that stuff comes with the camera. So it's kind of like diminishing returns. What do you need? What do you not need? Do you need a broadcast type camera? If so, invest in one and it'll pay off down the line. If you need a DSLR type cinema camera, get one of those. Just know you might have to spend more throughout to rig it up to get it to do particular jobs. But there isn't one type of camera and one type of setup. Like again, I've made a good amount of money, thousands of dollars shooting things with my little DSLR T2i. Decent budgeted stuff on my T2i. And they're like, hey, I mean, again, this is from my client's perspective. They're like, hey, it's a DSLR. Let's hire him. Frankly, I mean, they don't hire me because it's a DSLR, but they're like, hey, you're shooting on a DSLR. That'll put us above the other guys. And the other guys are like E&G style shooters, more broadcast, bigger camera shooters. And then they're like, hey, you have a DSLR. You can get that shallow depth of field stuff, right? And I'm like, I guess there's more to it, but I mean, sure, if you want to get shallow depth of field, yeah, I could do that on my bigger sensor. And they're like, great, because that's what we need. And they'll hire you. They don't care if it's a 5D Mark III, 5D Mark IV, T2i, A7S Mark II. Granted, for your own personal reasons, like you might want a better camera than a T2i or something, but that's sometimes the reality. Sometimes they don't care, and a lot of times they do care. A lot of times clients want it shot specifically on a Red or an Alexa or a FS7. So you keep that in mind, but a lot of times clients don't mind. It's you that they're hiring, not your gear. And then sometimes they are hiring you and your gear. If you own a Red and they want you, then that's great. It's advantageous for everyone. But keep that in mind. You don't have to have a specific camera to get started with video production. You can have like a Sony Handycam and start shooting weddings with that. Like you can do it. Maybe not a Handycam. You can have like a Vixia, Sony Vixia, like the $500 ones at Best Buy. You could attach lavs to those things and wireless mics, and you can start shooting weddings. Like you could charge someone for a 1-camera basic wedding package for $500. And then if you do 2 of those, you got $1,000. You work yourself up to a DSLR and you just keep working and climbing that ladder. That's kind of the way it works. And I believe I covered everything. I might even do a second part to this video. I know I rambled on a lot, and a lot of it was kind of about myself, but I'm just kind of speaking from experience here, what I've experienced. Hopefully I didn't offend anyone. Hell, I might even have some of my own clients watching this right now from who knows where. I don't even know. But hope this video was informative. And at the end of the day, it's just having a good attitude, being a hardworking person, having a good work ethic. Financially, you got to support yourself, but above money and above all else, be a good working person and people will hire you. And that's kind of the way it is. Your character says more than your work does. That's what this whole video, if I could put this whole video in one thing, have good character and your work builds around that. Your character is way more important than your work. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name's Justin Nelson with Happyfox Productions. Those of you guys who follow the channel, our short film and gore road, we'll be launching our Indiegogo campaign for that within a week. So things are getting really big, really excited. Stay tuned for that. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.